Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everybody, it's Will here from Daily Wolves and welcome back after the international break, and you join us from a very sort of picturesque, white, snowy West Midlands, and I'm joined today by Chris. Chris, hello, how are we?
Hello everyone, feeling good. Happy Wednesday. I had cold toes today, but other than that, I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I had no idea that it was going to be snowing. I evidently hadn't seen the weather report that far, so I left the house this morning. Well, I opened the curtains and I thought I was seeing things, but I don't know, I kind of like it. There's something about football in the snow. Feels quite nostalgic.
I'd heard the rumours of snow. I kind of, thought nothing of it because people talk the weather all the time. And then I was woken by screams of my young children as they looked out the window and realised it had been snowing. So for anyone that has kids out there, they know that it was a very hyped morning for young children. Like, the hype was real.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hype, and speaking of the hype being real, I have a bit of Wolves news from the international break.
Do you?
A young, promising Portuguese loanee has made their full international senior level debut during the break. Chris?
We should sign such a person. That sounds like a revelation.
Yeah, well, the price tag on the boy is quite high, from the potential that he's got in the locker. I think it's around the 35 million mark. So
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what Mr. Shi has to offer.
Who would pay that much money for such an unproven young striker? I can't believe it.
I don't know.
Surely that's foolhardy. That is.
Yeah, but no. So for those who missed it, a young Fabio Silva made his Portugal senior men's international debut over the weekend in a 1-1 draw against Croatia. He came on wearing the number 11 shirt, which I thought was, it's quite optimistic from him,
Yeah, on the one hand, there's a part of me that, I think there's a part of me that wants to see him do well. How do I phrase this right? Because, I think he's been kind of thrust into a really unfortunate position. He didn't put that price tag on his head. And, arguably he wouldn't have been if it wasn't for the horrific injury to Jimenez and the state of the way the club ran things during the time leading up to COVID and all that kind of things. He wouldn't necessarily have been thrust into the starting lineup quite so soon as he was. So I feel like there's a lot of factors that have evolved into his journey. Whatever people think, I think if you look back, it's not ideal, the whole situation. And so there's a part of me that thinks, fair play, go and do it. But it's just it's frustrating that he keeps going off on loan, and every time he comes back, he has a little go, and then it doesn't quite work out, and he goes off again. And there's a part of you that's just like, okay, just write him off now. Just sign him, sign the money away, let him go, do his thing. And if he has a great success, fantastic,
Yeah, I just think it's the most Wolves thing ever, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's just typically Wolves throughout the international break. I mean, he's out. I don't even think he's doing incredibly well. I think he's doing okay.
Yeah,
out in La Liga in quite possibly the most random strike partnership ever at Las Palmas. It's him and their other striker is Ollie McBurney. Which is it's just so strange. But no,
I don't know that much about the Liga. I have not done my research on that one, but I believe you.
Yeah, but Roberto Martinez, now the Portugal manager, still somehow. Full of praise for him.
Fabio, go. Go, do your thing. Do your thing.
But no, Chris. So, do you have any other relevant and actual proper Wolves news for us over the international break?
Well, we were chatting a bit about some of the stuff to do with the back line of Wolves, as in the defence, because Santiago Bueno, who I think has done quite well the last few games for Wolves since he's come in alongside Dawson. Obviously, he's been a big talking point of ours. But even before he was in the starting lineup, we had many a thing to say about Santiago and wanted to see more of him. And now he's doing the business. But he was carrying a knock and did initially go out, it seems, on international duty, but then has been called back. The health of the player Wolves have basically said to the Uruguayan squad, look, we don't think he should be playing. He needs to rest up in the international break, because we've arguably we've only got 3 senior central defenders, 3 or 4, and I've lost track of the numbers and my brain is melting. But can we give him a rest, please? Because we really need him not to get injured. So he's flown home.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I don't like it. I don't know if you saw about Harry Kane's comments about all of the England squad players. I think 8 just returned home, and I'm on Kane's side with that. So I don't like it in a way. But having said that, in this instance, it works perfectly in our favour. If there's a sort of slight excuse we can use to bring him back and just rest him, then that's brilliant. Well, for us at least. My only worry is that it is a sort of the injury scare. Is it genuine and a real sort of cause for concern? Because I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine if he gets injured?
According to reports, apparently he's carrying a knock, and he's come back. In regards to the bigger discussion on international stuff, I think if someone's properly injured to a point it's at risk of giving greater injury, then I think it's fair enough. I get what Kane's saying, and when there's that many people, and there's obviously some question marks over stuff. Yeah, fair enough. I totally think it should be country first. But then again, some of the we have these debates all the time about the amount of international breaks and the amount of unnecessary games, and do we really need as many as we have? No, I don't think we do. No. So I also kind of get it from that point of view, because hurrah, this is the last international break. Is it till March or something? So thank heavens. But yeah, Bueno is carrying an injury, and apparently it's come out recently that Craig Dawson is carrying a knock again. And so the last couple of games, they've been carrying these injuries through the games, and because of the limited squad in defense, they are playing through it. So arguably they do need this break to rest up and be good for us, because if, heaven forbid, I mean, it's bad enough if one of them goes in and we have to have, say, Alfie Pond alongside, or say Totti. Well, they go back at the 4. Maybe I think they'd probably do that before they bring in Pond into a 3. I don't know how they do it, but heaven forbid Dawson and Bueno get injured at the same time. I mean, they are injured at the same time by the sound of it. But if they were to both be out of the lineup, I mean, you'd have Totti and Pond.
I don't know what we'd do. I mean, it is worrying. But less of the worries. And we're just going to take a quick break, Chris, because I would like to tell you that here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. But Chris, we've spoken about strikers in the form of Fabio Silva, and we've spoken about injured players.
We have.
Now, you were telling me something off air, if you like, that combines both of those two topics.
We have, because obviously we have another striker in our ranks by the name of Sasha Kaladzic. I don't know if you've heard this name. Legendary striker.
I've heard it pronounced many different ways, but yes, I have heard.
I'm going to say I nailed it.
I agree.
let's all agree on one thing. He is a lovely guy. Like, whenever you watch videos of him, he's the nicest guy. And so it's all the more disheartening that he's had such a torrid time with his injuries. But he apparently is on the brink of returning to like training with the team. So that, he's obviously been out for a year. And so he's at the point now where he's on the brink of returning to training with the squad, which is interesting. Obviously, I imagine he'll still have to kind of work his full fitness back up, but yeah.
Where was it that he was on loan? Because if you think of him and the likes of Guedes, they're two players that, as far as I'm concerned, going into the season, I didn't think we'd ever see them in a Wolves shirt again, which is weird.
I mean, when he's got that kind of injury, was it the ACL again? I mean, the loan obviously had to end because he can't, he's out for a year, and no one's going to loan him. He's not going to go anyway, whether it's a sale or a loan. He's not going to go out while he's recovering from an injury. So now he's on contract, because I think we signed him on another, was it like 5? We're always signing people on 5-year contracts. Yeah. So they have to nurse him back to health, if only for value, in the hope they can get him fit enough to, even if he doesn't make the squad properly again, to be worthy of selling on someone, to show that he is fit enough to play. That's the minimum goal right now for a player like that, who's had 2 massive knee injuries in fairly quick succession, is to get them to a point that they are healthy enough to go, look, this guy can play, and then sub him off, bench him, and so he doesn't get injured again, and then he can go somewhere and live the dream in a less competitive physical league, perhaps. I believe, I want to say off the top of my head, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong, that he went back to the Bundesliga on loan, because that's where he was before. I just can't remember.
I can't remember which club it was, but it was around that neck of the woods anyway.
Yeah. But as we said, he is a lovely, lovely chap. So I genuinely wish him all the best. But you also got to ask yourself, when he's had 2 such, maybe it's 3. He's definitely had 2 massive knee injuries. And he's so lanky, and you do just question at points, is this the right thing for you to be doing?
I know, but you know what? He's not. When he was fit, he wasn't bad. And I
don't mean him in terms of his quality, in terms of his health and his leg.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like the longevity of his career, or even at this point, his walking health. I mean, I'm not being silly. I'm being genuine. Someone that tall with that much strain on their legs, the knees, the height of them, the knees and everything, it's with recovering from 2 such massive injuries, and plus any other minor knocks he's had over the years, that's quite a big deal. But
I do agree. And speaking of big deals, now we all know that at the start of the season, we famously had our difficult run of games. And I'd just like us, Chris, to just take a little look forward. So this weekend, obviously what we're building towards here, Daily Wolves, and what we'll be continuing to build towards is Fulham away.
Dun, dun, dun.
Then followed by Bournemouth at home, and then Everton at home. And not long after that, we've got, I think, Ipswich at home or away as well. And I think both them and Everton are, in the sort of bottom sort of relegation mix with us. So with that in mind, I mean, we'll obviously start off briefly with Fulham, but with the international break now behind us, and our break from Wolves behind us, and looking forward to another weekend of seeing if we're going to just be left feeling disappointed or not. I just want to sort of gauge your thoughts on where you are in regards to your feelings around the club and going forwards in the season. And, are you hopeful? Is Mr. Optimism back, or is it still sort of, baby steps?
It's baby steps. I'm feeling more positive in terms of, it's nice to be now only 1 point adrift. It's nice to be, rightly or wrongly, 3 games undefeated. Just to put a stem, just to put a bandage on that, that run of losses. 2 draws and a win, just to slowly build up a little bit of momentum, however slow, and having the win before the break. Because on the one hand, the break is perfect for some of these injuries to hopefully recover. On the other hand, possibly not a great time, because we'd like to keep momentum after that win potentially and carried it into the next game immediately, because I think that in terms of morale, that probably would have been the best thing. So I'm optimistic that we can definitely get more points from these next few games. I think Fulham away is a tough game. I mean, they're all, we've said it before, they're all tough games, but Fulham away, I'm sad that obviously I'm happy for him, but I'm sad that Jimenez is getting back to something of his old glory, and we're going to be taking him on at a time when we really don't want him to score against us, and he arguably will because it's Wolves. And him and Traore together again, I'm fearful of the Fulham game because I'm just wary of the Traore Jimenez coming back to bite us.
I was just about to say, if we're on the end of a Traore and Jimenez combo, I think that will send a lot of fans into overdrive when you look at the way that what we had compared to how we are now, and I don't think it's necessarily due to a gulf in quality in terms of personnel. Cunha and Stranda Larson in theory can be as good for us as Traore and Jimenez were. I know that's wishful thinking because they were the best we've seen in my lifetime at least. But it will be, like you said, like you mentioned, it would be typically Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, bigger picture, I think squad-wise, like you say, and now having the duck off their back, so to speak, of like getting a win, because that was clearly, you can see it in the players physically, that was getting them down.
Sorry, I've never heard the phrase "duck off the back."
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I think I've combined 2 phrases into one. But let's not question it, people. Let's move forward, because Wolves are moving forward, so we're going to move forward with them.
I like it.
So, I think bigger picture, we're more than capable of getting something from. Be honest, I'll take a draw away to Fulham. I'd be loving a win,
100%.
But a draw away at Fulham, who are having a fairly solid season so far, and knowing that the likes of Jimenez coming back to bite us in the bum, so to speak, I think is more than likely going to happen. So but I think we're more than capable of getting a draw there, and then the next, obviously after that, that's when it gets massive. I mean, Bournemouth at home, for me. I know again they're playing okay, but we've got to win that game. Got to win that game.
I mean, again, looking even further than that, the Everton and Ipswich games are in that same category where you've got to pick up points. Like you said, Fulham away, I think we'll do well to get a point, personally, just because of O'Neill. I'm still anti-O'Neill. That hasn't changed in the break. And it's annoying because on paper, I think we probably do have as good as, if not better, a starting 11 than them. I know they've got quality players, but so do we, and it's just annoying having this mindset. Anyway, we've discussed that sort of trail of thought many a time here.
But what would be amazing is, because obviously, like you say, we've got Everton away coming up. That's on the 4th of December, which is going to be massive, and hopefully we can just put another pin a nail in their coffin. Because to be honest, I know I'm going off tangent slightly, but that's what we're all about.
Yeah, go for it.
I so badly want Everton to go down, because it just feels like every season for the last 5 or 6 years, even longer, every season they are in that fight, and they somehow always come down to like the last day, and then somehow pull it out the bag because someone else will have an absolute mare on the last day and just
it's going to be us.
And then
we're going to be on the other end.
Last season, the points deduction, and they still somehow get out of it, and it's like, come on, they need. I just feel like they are overdue.
I think they're just destined to not go down. But
it's crushing. But wait. But we're going to outbutt each other here on the butts, because this was where I was actually going originally. After that, though, West Ham away, which also, given how they are this season, I think we can more than do something with. I would love though, if he's still there at that point, that if we beat them away, and that is the end of Lopetegui's reign at West Ham. I mean, think about that. Think about that. Because it is not all going roses for him at the moment.
No, but what I will say is they're doing better than us, and we're not sacking our manager. So riddle me that.
Yeah, but we are Wolves.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's bonkers,
you're welcome.
Isn't it? Because, like you said, it's not going well for him down there. A lot of fans aren't happy with Lopetegui, and there's big pressure on him.
Here is, but I feel like he's an abrasive character as well. We've seen it at Wolves himself. And whilst I am thankful that he did help keep us up that season, undoubtedly, the way it ended towards the ending of that era and him constantly down talking the squad, I get that there was obviously stuff behind the scenes going on that we are not fully cognizant of right now.
And never will be.
And never will be potentially. However, in the public eye, the way he was going on about it to the press, to journalists and things like that, and constantly just stepping on the squad. It felt like he was constantly talking them down. Like, this squad is not capable. These people aren't good enough. And there was some quality players in that squad. And it just and then you saw what they did. We did the rest of that season for the most part when Anil came in. And it just, so yeah, I don't like him for the manner in which he went about that.
No,
and
I can understand that.
We haven't really touched on it before because this podcast started after that. But so I would love it. I would love it if he's having a bad time and we just put another little bit of a dampener on that.
Yeah, and it could well happen. Dreaming is for free. But before we go on to talk about one major stat that is personally grinding my gear, Chris, I'd like to give out a quick reminder that this podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day.
Every day.
But yeah, there's something troubling me. Oh, go on. Why?
I was just thinking it's the first time I've never heard myself say before we're going to outbutt each other. That's all I was thinking about.
I mean, I just didn't even question it at this point. No, I think that's where we're at here.
Go with the flow.
But yeah, it's the fact that we look at the games coming up, and we spoke about Fulham, for example, and the likes of Jimenez and Traore, who, whilst we're on the topic, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, and I'm sure I've told this story before, but one of my best mates worked at Fulham last season, and I got a little Jimenez and Traore signed Wolves shirt each from that. And what I liked about Traore's is he wrote me a little message as well as signing it.
Oh.
He said, "To Will, follow your dreams." I just thought, as if I was like a child or something, but I'm all for it.
And here you are following your dreams, Will.
This is
he
it.
Knew it.
This
he
is
knew
it. Exactly. But no, it's the fact that we have conceded 27 goals already this season. 27. That's
drop in the ocean, Will. Drop in the ocean.
That's 5 more than any other team in the league. And it's just, my worry is when we look at these games that are must-win games, it's that worry of having to just outscore teams, which isn't sort of happening. It isn't doable, and I think that's my sort of main concern when I look at the fixtures ahead and I look at where we're going to sort of, kick on now and move forward, as you mentioned. I just struggle to see how that's going to happen when we're, conceding just so many goals. Yeah.
Well, we've got that first clean sheet now. We've got that first win. The world is our oyster now, Will. Let's not dwell in the past. Let's dream. Like you say it yourself. Dreaming is for free, Will.
I like the idea that based off that, we're just not going to concede another goal now all season.
Yeah, you heard it here first. I mean, yeah, it's been, let's not beat about the bush. It's been awful. And the thing is we've mentioned before, the weirdest thing is if they can figure out ever the whole kind of set piece and second phase of set piece situation, those moments, our open play defense is not bad.
No.
Like you look at most of the stuff that we've conceded, and then how the rest of the game goes. It's pretty. The rest of the time, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, you know, I mentioned that it's 5 more goals than anybody else in the league. If you cut out all those set pieces, all those just a man being completely free in the 6-yard box or at the back post, if you cut out how many times that's happened to us, I reckon that, yeah, we're not even sort of bottom of the table in terms of goals against.
Exactly. And, you know,
it's crazy.
We've seen teams like Newcastle have to shoot from range. Yes, they've been good goals, and maybe someone should have, you know, on the odd one could have closed down faster. But the majority of the time, when people have scored from open play, it's been a heck of a strike or something like that. You know, it's been a piece of magic, because the rest of the time we are denying people opportunities. There's not many shots coming from inside the box, or, you know, stuff like that. I feel like if they can just, it's so frustrating because it's such an obvious thing, and we've spoken about it. And one episode I was even like, let's just go old school. Let's put people on the post if it comes to it. You know, just something really basic, absolutely basic, to just iron out the rest of it, and we'd be fine.
Yeah, no, we would. And just on that note, Chris, there's a little parting message.
No?
I just wanted to ask you just to give us a general feel, like I said, after the break, of how you're feeling for the weekend. And I'm requesting some words of optimism. I'm trying to bring Mr. Optimism back out of his shell as we try and kick on for the rest of the season.
Okay. As in, you wanted this now? Sorry, right?
Sorry, okay. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot. My apologies. My apologies.
Okay. What was the first part again?
What are your thoughts ahead of the weekend? How do you think we're going to play? Just based on that sort of idea of keeping a clean sheet. And second of all, you know, just give us some optimism. Give us something.
All right. Well, for the game itself, I think, as I mentioned, I'm quietly confident that the mood in the camp is, I think they've always been, we've seen that even in the worst situations, the team has been behind O'Neill. Whatever the public is saying, they seem very with him. And I think that added to the fact that they hopefully got a little morale boost from the last game means there is hopefully going to be some confidence from them to go out a little bit more positive maybe. And I want them to be aggressive and take it to Fulham. And I know that you still have to be careful. It's away at Fulham and they're dangerous, but, you know, stick it on them. We are a solid team, and we've got the capability. We can do this, Will. We can do this, everyone.
Sorry.
Okay.
Getting carried away there.
We can do this, everyone. We can do it. And in terms of wisdom, I think, I mean, you know, the stars are aligning. 3 games unbeaten, 3 points from the last game. We kept our first clean sheet. I know it was Southampton, but you can only beat what's in front of you. We did basically, I mean, Jose Sarr basically could have gone to sleep for most of the game. And so, there's signs of life. And if nothing else, I mean, they're painting the roof at the Molineux right now, Will. Have you seen them? They've got the big cranes outside and they're painting the Wolf. If that's not a sign that the times, they are a-changing, to quote Bob Dylan, then, you know, dreaming is free. It can all change from here. This is the beginning of our next step forward. And just remember, what do we always say? What do we always say towards the end of our episodes as well?
Yeah. Out of darkness cometh light.
Indeed.
Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.